All right. Good evening, Miss Alia. How are you? I'm good. I'm fine. I'm fine. Walaikum assalam, Miss Mona. How are you? Are you fine? I'm fine, ma'am. I'm fine. Absolutely fine. Okay. So let's not waste time and let's start with the webinar. I'm fine, Mona. I'm absolutely fine. Thank you so much. Okay. All right. So, Assalamu alaikum and welcome to my webinar that is on experiential learning. And what you're going to study in this webinar, we are just going to know now in a while. Before I move to the webinar itself, there is an acknowledgement that I want to make that the materials which you will see in my webinar, some of the materials have been taken from a webinar by Amanda Hilliard, which she had presented for the American English Live Professional Teacher Series in 2020, and her webinar series was 8.3. And her topic was bringing grammar to life with experiential learning. Now, being an Open Pakistan alumni, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to Relo Pakistan and to Evolution for giving opportunities to the English language community to improve our English language teaching pedagogies, our teaching styles through the tailor-made courses and webinars. So moving on. So this is what you're going to come across in today's webinar. There is an icebreaker activity. There is a definition of experiential learning along with its background. Then you will be knowing about the experiential learning cycle. Then I'm going to give you two examples, one is there are two complete activities you're going to know about experiential learning through lesson plan. Then is the instructor's roles in experiential learning. Then there's the benefits of experiential learning and the challenges. All right. So now, well, this is your first activity. This is the icebreaker activity. I want you to have a look at this activity. That is, imagine you want to learn how to play basketball or cricket. Which method would you choose? So what I want you to do is, you're going to write your responses in the Zoom chat by choosing your option of how you want to learn basketball or cricket. Okay, Mona is saying option B. Tasneem is saying by watching, but the Basim is saying by watching a video. Okay, ma'am Sabika saying D. Maria Heather is saying B and D. All right. Arshi is saying A. Rida Junaid is saying D. And Faisa Kashif is saying B and D. All right. Shugupta Nafis is saying D. Alia is saying D and B. Sheroz is saying B and D. Miss Alia is saying B. Miss Yasmin is saying D. All right. And Sumaira is saying D. Sorry, B and D. And Miss Alia Aziz is saying A and D. Any other response? Any other response? Okay, Sarah is saying that first I'll watch how to play and then I will practice. Excellent. And then Miss Iram Nasir is saying B and D, and Miss Yasmin is saying B and D. All right. Okay. Miss Alia saying no, it's a B and D. All right. So those who chose B and D, you are absolutely right. Because first you would definitely watch how to play the game and then you would practice it. All right. So well done to all those who have answered B and D. All right. So there's a next one for you. Now imagine you are a primary level science teacher and you want your students to learn about domestic and wild animals. Now, which teaching strategy would you choose? Okay, Maria is saying, and just like cooking, first see YouTube and then practicing. Absolutely right. So now, You have to write your options over here in the Zoom chat. Which option would you choose for teaching your students about domestic and wild animals? Yes, I'm waiting for your responses. All right, Miss Alia is saying 2 and 4. Miss Farana is saying 1, 2 and 4. Okay, Alia Mohsin is saying 1 and 4. Ma'am Sabika is saying option 2 and 4. Rida Junaid is saying 1 and 2, and Shiroz is saying all of them stage wise. Okay, Maria is saying 2 and 4. Shugupta Nafis is saying 3 and 4. Mona is saying 3 and 4. The answers, I'm getting quick answers. That's good. Mr. Basu is saying 2 and 4. She's saying 2 and 4. There's Miss Arshi saying all right, 2 and 4. Divya saying 3 and 4. Yasmin is saying all the stages. Okay, all the stages. So if you choose to first teach your students, expose them through the learning material. Okay, someone over here, Sarah, is saying first I'll show them the pictures and then plan a field trip so that they can see in reality as well. Definitely, definitely. Miss Iram is saying 2 and 3. All right, 2 and 3. So if you have chosen any of the above options with number 4, you are absolutely right. Miss Aruj is saying no, 2 and 3. All right. If you ask me, I would first, teach them in the class and then show them, take them on a field trip and show them, take them to a zoo and show them what wild animals look like. All right. While showing the pictures, I'll tell them the difference. Okay. But in the 21st century, just showing pictures is not enough to the students. It's better to give them the experience of how wild animals look like. So, okay. Or basically, I should have followed all of them at once. Okay. All right. So, wonderful responses. And again, hats off to you all. Wonderful, wonderful responses I have got. All right. So now this takes us to the topic itself. What I did with you earlier were actually some examples of experiential learning. But then we need to understand what is experiential learning. So you see, experiential learning is a methodology, a philosophy of education, and a process of learning by doing. By engaging students in hand-on experiences and reflection, they are able to connect theories and knowledge learned in the classroom to the real world situation. And just like experiential learning, inquiry-based learning is an approach that emphasizes the student's role in the learning process. Instead of the teacher telling the students what they need to know, students are encouraged to explore the material, ask questions, and share ideas. Okay, Sarah is saying exactly. Yesterday, I visited Danzul and the children enjoyed a lot by seeing the animals. That's wonderful. Sarah, you gave them the experience of showing, of seeing wild animals in reality. And that was a very good strategy. So, there are examples of experiential learning, and they are community service, field trips, laboratory experiments, internship programs, student tutoring projects, etc. All right. So this is about experiential learning. So now we move to the history of experiential learning. Are you familiar with these two personalities on the screen? Yes or no? Do you know Aristotle and John Dewey? Yes, I want to know. Yes or no? Have you heard about them, first of all? Okay, you have heard about them. Okay, Miss Farana saying yes. Okay, Miss Alia saying yes. Miss Gupta saying yes. Miss Sara saying yes. Maria saying yes. Aristotle. Okay, very good. A majority of you have heard about Aristotle. What about John Dewey? What about John Dewey? Okay, Alia saying of course. John Dewey. Okay, she's saying yes. So you all have heard about, John Dewey and Aristotle. Wonderful, 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 wonderful. I'm loving the responses. I'm loving that enthusiasm. Good. Keep it going. Wonderful. So now we come to the history. Now, Now it says that the value of experience actually as a tool in the creation of knowledge and fostering human development was seen in the early 4th BC. And it was when Aristotle believed that the theory is not understood until or unless a person has the ability to apply it. Now, in the 20th century, the work of John Dewey, that is learning through experience, became the basis of formal education. The setting, and he challenged the educators of 1920s and 1930s by telling them that that education programs should not be and cannot be isolated from real life experiences. And after John Dewey, Benjamin Bloom, you must have heard of Bloom's taxonomy. So he actually worked with educators, with psychologists, with sociolinguists and educators, and he believed that experience was not a replacement for theory, but an addition. And you know that, do you know this person on your screen? David Kolb. Have you heard of him? David Kolb. Yes or no? Have you heard of David Kolb? All right, Rida saying no. Okay. Tabassum is saying yes. Farhana saying yes. Sabah Amir is saying no. Maria, okay. Those who are saying no, doesn't matter. I'm here to make you familiar with this. Introduce David Kolb to you all. Okay, Farhana saying an educational theory. She has read about him. Ma'am Sabika saying no. All right. Doesn't matter. Now, okay. So majority of you still don't know David Kolb. So I'm here to introduce you to him. Don't get worried. So David Kolb actually is the father of experiential learning, right? And he is that person who stated that learning takes place in a multi-dimensional process, which begins from concrete to observation, reflection, abstract conceptualization, then testing the new concept in real life situations. And this is known as the Kolb's learning cycle, which was created in 1984. And would you believe it or not, that his concept of experiential learning is widely accepted. Widely accepted means that many people follow his concept around the world. All right. So now this takes us to more details about the Kolb's cycle. Now, Kolb's cycle, can you see on your screen? Now, over here, Kolb's cycle, can you see some things appearing on your screen over here, the entire cycle? Can you see it? Can you see the picture of the Kolb's cycle? Good, 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 good. Very good. So now, very good. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, participants. Thank you. Thank you, Miss Samira. Nice to see you. All right, Miss Faiza Kashif. Nice. All right. Thank you. So y'all can see this. Okay. So now it's time has come to understand what is the Kolb cycle. Okay. So now the Kolb cycle actually consists of four stages. All right. 4 stages. The first stage is known as the concrete concepts. Now, what is the concrete concepts? Now, in this stage, each learner engages in an activity or task. And Kolb's believed that the key to learning is involvement, which means that it is very important for the teacher to involve the students in the learning process. All right. And it is not enough for learners to just read and watch. Read and watch what I did with you earlier, the activity, and I asked you for your options. So this is what Kolb's is saying. He is saying that when you are teaching students, just don't expose them to just reading and watching. All right. In order to acquire new knowledge, learners must actively engage in a task. So he says that the concrete stage is where the teacher should involve the students in an activity or a task. All right. And the first task, that is concrete experience, is also known as to feel. Now, the second stage is the reflective observation. Now, when I say reflective observation, it means after the students have been through the experience of doing a particular activity or a task, the learner steps back and reflects on the task. And this stage allows the learner to ask questions and discuss the experience with others. And you know, when they are discussing the experience, it's very important for the students to use appropriate active words, you know, words to describe their feelings, to describe the experiences. All right. So, and Miss Sarah is saying learning with activities is much important in the education field. I agree with you, Miss Sarah. I agree. Yes, and Samira saying learners need the attention of the teacher so that they can learn and explore with different activities. Yes, I agree. This is where we will be doing the instructor's roles also later on. Miss Samira, thank you for pointing it out over here. All right. And after that comes the abstract conceptualization. Now, what is happening in this stage? Now, in this stage, the learner attempts to draw conclusion. Conclusion from where? Conclusion from the activity or the task which they had done. All right. And how they did that task? By using their prior knowledge, by using the schema. All right. The things which they already know. All right. And using the ideas which they are familiar with, or discussing possible theories with their peers. Now, as the learner moves from the reflective observation to abstract conceptualization, they begin to classify concepts. You know, they're beginning to draw a conclusion. They're trying to see, they're trying to learn something new over here. And it's not necessary that the concept has to be new, but the learners can analyze the new information. You see? Yes, so Miss Farana, from known to unknown, absolutely. Miss Sobia is saying early years is nothing without concrete, okay? So please mute yourself. All right. And then the last stage comes the active experimentation, which is to do the, that is the application stage. Now, what is happening over here? Now, this is also known as the testing stage. Now, learners return to the they return to the task which they had participated in. And this time they look at it with the goal of applying the conclusion or the information to new experiences. And they are able to make predictions, analyze, the tasks, make plans, and by allowing learners to put knowledge into practice, showing how relevant it is in their lives, you as a teacher are making sure that the information that they have gained is retained for the future. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right. Just give me a few minutes. I just want to have water. I'm just this thing getting all right. So now you must be wondering, Miss Sabina is talking, and she's not giving any example. But Miss Sabina has examples for y'all, and you will see how she's applied it. The called cycle. All right. Just okay. So now my forte is English language and literature. So what I have done is I have taken, the Kolb cycle to show you how it can be used, in an English language teaching classroom. How I've done it. Now, you see, if I want to teach, if I want my students to learn vocabulary, and what is that vocabulary? It can be prefixes, suffixes, it can be similes, it can be even, antonyms, synonyms. So what I would do, I would engage my students in an activity first that is under the concrete experience. That is the crossword puzzle. And what my students would do, they would set goals. What are those goals? The goals, how to do that particular activity. Miss Farana saying knowledge can be retained for long only if experiences, yes, through experiences, and that is what, yes, Miss, I'm glad you agree with me in this point. And the once, the students, they set those goals for themselves, they're going to understand the activity objectives. That means what is the purpose of making them do that activity? All right. Then they will apply their knowledge, their prior knowledge, their schema, all right, in order to activate the background. All right. And also it can also be that, being a teacher, you will come in maybe as a facilitator just to give them a gist, all right, not to have a full-fledged teaching going on of what the vocabulary is all about, but you want them to learn through the activity over here. Okay. Next, what I'm going to do is in the reflective observation, after the students have done the crossword, that puzzle, they're going to reflect, keeping in mind their feelings and what vocabulary they have learned, And what they're going to do is, since now they are in the group, they are going to share their experiences, the results of doing that activity, their feelings, their reactions with their peers. All right. I hope it's understandable over here what I'm doing. Yes or no? Okay, everyone is okay. Good. Now, the third stage, the abstract conceptualization. So you see, students have done the task, they have done the activity, they have discussed their reflections with their peers using appropriate vocabulary. Now, what they have done is they have drawn a new concept or a new information. All right. And what they're going to do is they are going to apply what they have learned to another experience. All right, which takes us to the active experimentation, that is the application phase, where they become confident, they are able to use the new information or the new vocabulary learned in the future. And where in the future are they going to use it? Maybe they will play a Scrabble game and they will use those prefixes, suffixes, or maybe they will even use those opposites or antonyms or synonyms, or maybe in a bingo game. And, if the school has a spelling bee competition, maybe if they go for the Dawn spelling bee competition, they would definitely take part in it, because now they are familiar with the spellings, with vocabulary. All right. So this is just an example of a lesson of vocabulary. Yes, Miss Alia, even in the compositions, even in the sentences, even in the essay writing, they will be able to use the vocabulary, even in dialogue writing also. All right. So this was the first example for you. I do not know how you liked it, but I do not know what's your reaction. So whether you liked it or not, I would love to know. Okay. Yes, in story narration also. Thank you, Samira. Also in story narration also it can be used. Okay, Alia saying she loved the idea of using Cobb's, cycle for... Thank you, Miss Sarah, for the big heart. Thank you so much. It's, like a motivation for me. Now, how many of you love going to restaurants and tasting yummy food? Ashi, we will have a discussion some other day. Yes, even in the essay writing, yes, I did mention that, Mr. Gupta. Yes, how many of you love the restaurant, visiting restaurants and, having this yummy food? How many of you are feeling hungry looking at these pictures? Okay. Okay, I'm a foodie. Maria saying me. Oh my God. Even, when I was working on this presentation, when I was uploading the pictures, something told me at the back of my mind, my participants are going to feel very, very, hungry looking at all this. Why not plan and go to a restaurant with Sabina? Definitely very soon. We will. All right. We will. Okay, Maria saying I'm a foodie. Okay, Kisra saying food is love. Samira's mouth is drooling. Okay, that's wonderful, wonderful. I'm glad you all are enjoying it. Okay, so it's not just about the pictures, but let's come back to, Yes, yes, experiential learning on this. Yes, food is distracting us, mouth-watering pictures. Yes. All right. So now I'm going to share with you a sample lesson plan of CALL's experiential learning cycle of a restaurant role play. But to cook, okay, not much into it, but to cook is my duty. Same here, Miss Aruj. It's my duty too, but I love it. I love baking. Okay, so now what is going to happen over here? The level that I have chosen is from classes 6 to 8, and the duration is 5 classes. Now you see, there are some schools which have 30 minutes, teaching period. Some have 40, some have 45, some have 1 hour. Depends, all right? But we can never have a role play done in 1 or 2 classes, especially if I'm the teacher. I will never have it done in 1 or 2 classes, because unless my students are not clear with the concepts. All right. And what resources I would use? Chart papers for preparing menu cards, props for the waiters, chefs, and restaurateurs. Then there would be learning objectives. And what I would do in the learning objective, it will be divided into 3 phases. That is, understand how to use imperatives. You know what are imperatives? The verbs which are known as action verbs for giving orders and instructions. Then examine the technique for dialogue writing for a role play. And also then they're going to enact. Enact means they're going to perform a role play. All right. In 45 minutes. That is, the teacher will divide the students into groups, and she will put them into their respective groups depending upon the strength of the class. All right. If it is a class consists of 30 students, maximum, if I was the teacher, I would have maximum 5 to 6 groups. All right. So moving on, this is what I would do now in the concrete experience. I would, ask the students, to go back to the experience of ordering food in a restaurant. And I would also teach them vocabulary and grammar, such as imperatives and modals, of how to give instructions, how to give orders, and modals like how to ask questions. And after all this is done, this definitely takes time. I would also ask them to read restaurant dialogues. All right. And this is what Amanda had also shared in her webinar also. And in the background knowledge, I would ask these questions in the warm-up activity. Do you eat out often? What's your favorite restaurant? When was the last time you ate at a restaurant? What did you order? All right. And this is a sample dialogue I would provide the students. They would have a look at it, and I would ask them to read it and identify the models in this. And also they can, they were actually underlined words, but it's not showing over here. They were underlined words. So I would even ask them to, replace the underlined words with something else. All right. So this is what I would do with them. And after all this, then the students in their respective groups, they would perform the role play. All right. And then after they perform the role play, what they would do is, yes, it's modal verbs. We call it modals also, Miss Sabha. Students will discuss, all right, their experiences of how they did the role play. All right, whether it went well or whether it did not go well with their peers. All right, and it can also be in a written form. It can also, usually it's in a written form, and then the written form is shared, by reading their reflections, to their peers. All right. Then what is going to happen in abstract conceptualization? I'm going to use the think, pair, share activity. That is, by asking them questions. What did you like about the activity? How was it similar to the last time? You ordered food in a restaurant. How was it different? What was difficult about ordering? Or how did you feel during the role play? So these are some, and these questions actually students will be put in pairs now, and they will be asking each other these questions. That is why it is known as think, pair, and share. They will be sharing with their peers, not in the group, but with their peers, the peers. Okay, pair activity. Yes, Miss Alia, critical thinking. Yes, this is actually promoting critical thinking. Thank you, Miss Hava. Okay. So then what is going to happen? Now, after the students, they perform the role play, the activities taken place, that is think, pair, and share. Now comes the phase where the knowledge that the students have acquired through the role play, they will apply it now in reality. That is, they will plan how to order food in real life. And they will also maybe think about, how when they visit a restaurant, what words they're going to use, to order the food. All right, collaboration, definitely collaboration. They will learn to socialize with each other. Wonderful ideas. Yes, Ibra. Thank you, Ms. Gupta, for sharing the word collaboration. So, after the activity, now we come to the, please mute yourselves. All right. So now we come to the instructor's role in experiential learning. What I want you to do is, all right, Ms. Rida is saying practical example. Yes, it is. Now have a look at these pointers that I have shared on the screen. And I want you to give your, what you can say, your thoughts about it in the Zoom chat. Yes, it can be a discussion activity also. Yes. Yes, Ms. Samira, it can be. You're right. All right. So now, if you see in an experiential, learning classroom, the role of the teacher is less, the teacher's just performing the role of a coach or a facilitator. Yes, discussion about the experience. Yeah, it is. Yes, please have a look at this also, this slide. It is, Miss Samira, it is discussion activity, but there's also a term known as think, pair, and share. So I had to show an example of that, how it can be conducted and what questions can be asked. Yes, it is more of student-centered and less of teacher-centered classroom. Remember this. And, teachers, when they put the students into experiential learning, the teachers do not go with the purpose of dominating the children, but to give them the autonomy to learn, to discover through the activity. All right. Yes, the teacher is the facilitator over here. Yes, democratic style of teaching, student centered classroom, it develops confidence among the students. Yes, and identify experience in which students will find interest. Why not? And it's very important for the teacher, to plan out activities, keeping in mind what will motivate them to do that activity. All right. Then you have to have such a lesson plan where your lesson objectives match with your activity, so that the students, when they work on the task, they know what the teacher requires them to do. All right. And then you provide them with relevant resources which will be easily available for them to even go through to see. Yes, and it will help them in their real life. Students will learn about their weaknesses and strengths. Yes, activity like hot seat can come handy as well. Thank you, Ms. Amreen Gibran. Thank you. All right. And allow students to experiment, to discover solutions on their own. And before you may put them into the activity, you need to tell them that this is what their roles are, and this is their role, and this is your role as a teacher. All right. Yes, it is not every time, but it is time consuming. Once in a while, you can have your experiential learning, but it needs a lot of proper planning. You must have seen the examples, how it is done. Yes, they build confidence in students. It takes a lot of time in planning activities for students, and also to make sure that it gets completed within the required time also. Yeah, you need to. So any questions? Yes, once in a month. Yeah, if I agree, once in a month, it's okay. Once in a month, it's okay, but not every time. You cannot have it every time. You know why? Because you need to, it's not just about conducting the activity, it's even about assessing the learning. Assessment part also plays a huge role. Yes, it can be done and as an activity. If students are allowed to do experiment, they become socialized as well as they gain confidence. You're right, Miss Sarah. Yes, yes, because there's also the challenge of completing syllabus also, you remember? So, once in a while, it's okay. Once a month. Okay, but with proper planning. Actually, it all depends on your lesson plan, how you plan things out with for your students. You're most welcome, Ms. Sheros. You're most welcome. Okay. So moving on. Now, now it's your turn. Four C's of the 21st century. Now, what are some of the benefits of using experiential learning? G. What are some of the benefits of using experiential learning? Okay, collaboration, Miss Farana saying collaboration, wonderful. Creativity, wonderful. Anything else? Self-confidence, wonderful. Thank you, Miss Sabah. Critical thinking, Miss Alia, thank you. Tabassum is saying critical thinking, wonderful. Alia saying kids know what topic to do. Better understanding, develops, okay, interesting activity, communication, sharing. There was something, okay, socialization improves cognitive skills, how to handle situation. Yes, problem solving skills. Yes. Children, their confidence actually gets boosted. Communication, collaboration, creativity, critical thinking. Yes, the four C's. Real life experiences, four C's builds a stage of design thinking. Yes, the four C's, definitely. Confidence. Thank you, Miss Sophia, Miss Khizra. Patience, confidence, and communication. Thank you, Arshi. Rita and Rida saying they take charge. Definitely, they take charge of their learning. They take charge of their learning. So let's see what you have shared and what I have to share with you. See, on your screens. Most of it, what you have already shared is on the screen itself. It motivates them. It also provides them with opportunities to reflect. And also they learn from their mistakes through trial and error phase. Also, they learn a lot. Yes, the students will come to know about pros and cons of a particular experiment. So when they face the same situation, they know how to cope. Yes, you're right, Miss Ambreen Gibran. Yes, so Rida Junaid, you're right. And also, it also, when you have activities which are linked to the real life experiences, it makes your activity and that learning meaningful. And when I show them movie or pics beforehand, they will focus better. Definitely. Trust development, confidence. Yes. Um, and also when students, when their engagement increases, their learning also improves. And they're able to remember things by working in, by putting the knowledge into application. All right. Yes, confidence, and it also prepares, remember, the students for adult life. Yes, Miss Rida saying every student plays his or her part. Yes, it's not a solo performance. It's actually all the students are involved in exploring. Yes, nice word. I love the word exploring, Mr. Basim. Yes, definitely. But then there are some disadvantages too. Any comments over here about the disadvantages? They will learn to accept opinion of others, definitely. And honestly, with the activity-based classes, kids will be more involved with the teacher. Yes, you're absolutely right. They will be more involved with the teacher. Yes. Now let's come to the disadvantages. G. Okay, normally students reflect, for example, and they are not participating in any sport or school event and they avoid mistakes of last time. Okay. Yes, Miss Amreen, you're right. Time taking, controlling of class. Yes, it is. Teacher needs to be well prepared, definitely. That is why it's time consuming, and you need, to be well prepared means you need to have lesson plans with activities which also keeps you in some control. Yes, proper planning, definitely. And disadvantage, if I show a movie, then they don't concentrate on the book. Yes, if you show them a movie about a novel or a story, they will never bother to read even. The resources, the proper planning, yes. They would only believe in experiments. They will never believe in what the teacher has to say. So you see, somewhat it's jeopardizing the role of the teacher over here. Time consuming and may take some days, some. Yes, you're absolutely right, Miss Sobia. It does take time. That is why once in a while it's okay. And it can also disturb the discipline of the class, the noisy atmosphere of the class. That also students get into it, but the class becomes noisy. Yeah. A decentralization process. Yes, absolutely right. They will cut off themselves from the learning which does not involve experimenting. True. Control issues and discipline issues. Yes, definitely. Can be held as an educational activity once a month. Yes. Security concerns also for parents. How, Miss Sobia? How security concerns? Okay, and section head trying to peep and see what's happening in my class. Okay, Miss Alia already has experienced this, but it's important. Okay, okay. They are always the first ones to, to have a look at what's going on in the class, why the class is so noisy. Gee, so definitely I'm getting wonderful responses, wonderful responses. And when this is, before I end the entire session, you can have a look at this quote by Confucius. Any comments about this? What Confucius actually says about experiential learning? Have a look at this. I hear, I forget. I see, I remember. But if I do, I understand. So indirectly, he is emphasizing about experiential learning, learning from experience, because when children are exposed to experience, they learn a lot and that knowledge retains for a longer time. How many of you remember your nursery rhymes till today? How many of you? How many of you remember your nursery rhymes? The Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall, and what about Jack and Jill went up the hill? Yes, you do retain them. Yes, for a longer time. Miss Farhana wants to say something. All right, in foreign countries, they follow this and we juggle over here. Twinkle, twinkle, little stars. Definitely. You know why we remember these nursery rhymes is it's because we have been through the experience of, of these nursery rhymes. When I was in the nursery, when I was in prep, in Montessori level, my principal had a boat. She used to make us students sit on the boat and she used to sing with us, row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. And we used to imagine it. We used to feel the jerks of the boat moving. That's how I remember till today, the row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Although it was a concrete road, but I imagined that the boat was flowing in a river. So you see, that practical experience actually made me remember this particular nursery rhyme. Yes, Miss Farhana, what you want to say? Miss Farhana? Miss Farhana? Early years are important years in our lives, definitely. And even when you go to learn a new recipe, will you do? You will First, you will go through the recipe card, you will read it, you will make sure you have all your ingredients ready, and then you will Go into the kitchen and you will start preparing that particular dish. Am I right or wrong? Am I right or wrong? Yes. Hands-on experience is very important. Very, very important. Definitely. It plays a huge role, not only for children, but even for us adults when we have to experiment with our dishes. Yes. Yes, Farhana, you want to say something? What is that?
Someone wants to disturb the class.
Yes. 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 Yes, Miss Farhana.
Nothing, Sabina. Only I wanted to second you that you were right that by the actions and by repeating them, we can remember them up till now.
Yes, definitely. So that brings me to the end of my presentation. I hope you liked it. I hope, okay, Amreen is saying, I remember first time I tried Malai Tikka. All right. All right. She said that she tried Malai Tikka and it turned out to be tasty ways. All right. So most of you have learned a lot. So thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. If anyone wants to give a verbal feedback, can give a verbal feedback. You're most welcome to talk. I hope you found it fruitful, beneficial, helpful to you. Anyone with a verbal, anyone who wants to talk or share their comments can speak up. Anyone else? Okay, thank you so much for the lovely comments. You all enjoyed it. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. You learned many, many things for me. Okay, wonderful session with practical. Okay, I got led you to internet failure. Yes, anyone with a verbal feedback?
Yes, my dear, Sakiba here.
Okay, ma'am, Sakiba.
Gigi, Ma'am Sabina, wonderfully you just conducted the webinar very nicely. And I agree, experimental learning is more important than the reading or learning because it creates a greater impact on the student's mind. I just want to share a simple thing that my husband used to take my daughter on field trips so she can remember everything, and that's what my daughter remember.
That's wonderful, ma'am. And thank you
Yes.
so much for
Really,
your feedback. Anyone else?
thank you much. The
Yes, anyone else with a feedback? I'll be sharing the Padlet link on WhatsApp. So what I want you to do is, I want you to fill the Padlet link. And I was so busy with the 2 live sessions that I forgot to create the Google attendance form. So I'll be working on the Google attendance form and I'll be sharing it in a while. And I will be disabling both the links at 9 o'clock. So thank you so much for attending my live session on experiential learning. And next session is on the 24th of June. And so I'll see you on 24th of June with another thematic topic. Thank you, Ms. Divya. Thank you so much for the wonderful, wonderful feedback that I'm receiving. Take good care of yourself and Allah Hafiz.